Hello, second graders. So we've just celebrated Palm Sunday. Now we're moving into Holy Week. And in Holy Week, there are several other big important days to celebrate, like we did with Palm Sunday. So, Palm Sunday, if you remember, it was Jesus coming into Jerusalem. It was the victory march of Jesus, that he came in on a donkey, and everyone was giving praise and thanksgiving to him. And we celebrate it because it's Jesus coming in his humility to save us. The next big day in Holy Week is Holy Thursday. And on Holy Thursday, Jesus, it's the night right before Good Friday. On Holy Thursday, Jesus has what is called the Last Supper with his apostles. Because on Friday, Good Friday, Jesus is going to die on the cross. So Holy Thursday is his last meal with his apostles. It's the night before he's going to die. He wants to spend it with his 12 closest friends, his apostles, so he gathers them together and they have a meal together. And remember, on Holy Thursday, this is also the point where Jesus washes the feet of the apostles. And the washing of feet back then, because everybody walked everywhere and they didn't have as good of shoes as we did, feet were incredibly dirty. And so there would be servants or people whose job it was to wash people's feet. But because there was such a dirty job, the people that washed people's feet were seen as like lower. They weren't seen as important as other people. But Jesus, who's God, washes the feet of his apostles. And he does this to show that everything he does is out of love for us. That he loves us so much that God, who created everything, would wash our feet. He would make himself our servant because he loves us. And so it's to help us to remember that everything God does is out of love for us, and that he makes himself a servant for us because he loves us. And so it's a call for us to try and do the same, that we should love our Lord so much, and we should love other people so much, that we want to help them, that we want to serve them. Your parents do an excellent job of this. Teachers too, doctors, police officers. There's so many jobs where it's service. You care for people and you serve other people because you love them. That's what Jesus is doing. He's showing his apostles that everything he's doing is out of love for them. And that's why on Holy Thursday, you'll see the priest wash people's feet during the Mass, because he is celebrating and remembering Jesus washing the feet of the apostles and the love we are supposed to show for each other. So he has the meal with the apostles, the Last Supper with the apostles. And at the Last Supper, Jesus does two very important things. One, he institutes, which is to say he creates, the sacrament of the Eucharist. He makes the first occasion of Holy Communion. Because we Catholics, we believe that in Holy Communion, in the bread and in the wine, Jesus is truly present in the bread and the wine. It may taste like bread and look like bread and smell like bread, but we believe he's truly there, that's God. And it may taste like wine and smell like wine and look like wine, but we believe that after the priest says the words of consecration and the words of institution, take this, all of you, and eat of it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you. And for the chalice, he says, the wine, he says, take this, all of you, and drink from it, for this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many, for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me. When the priest prays those words, those no longer become bread and wine. They become Jesus. Jesus is there, truly there, in body, blood, soul, and divinity. And the words the priest says that I just read to you, those are Jesus's words. We find those in the Bible. He prays those at the Last Supper on Holy Thursday. So Jesus starts the institution of the Eucharist. He who is the first priest of the Catholic Church starts the institution of the Eucharist. And he makes that happen so that he can be with us present throughout all of our lives, so that after he dies, after he raises from the dead, and after he ascends into heaven, he can still be physically there with us all across the world in the Eucharist. That's why at church, when you go to adoration and there's Holy Communion and the golden monstrance, the golden container that kind of looks like a sun on a stand that will be on the altar, and people will be praying there, that's because that's Jesus. Jesus is in the Eucharist, is in the Holy Communion. We believe he's truly there. So the Last Supper at Holy Thursday, Jesus institutes the Eucharist so that we can receive him, receive his love, receive his grace, and that we're never alone. God is with us always. We can go to him, talk to him, hang out with him, be with him, listen to him. He's present. Go to him as we would a friend. Second, at the Last Supper, Jesus institutes his priesthood. He makes all of his apostles, well, Judas leaves early, right? But he makes all of his apostles the first bishops. And the Last Supper is the first Mass that Jesus celebrates with the apostles. It is the first Mass of the Catholic Church. So when Jesus says the words, "Do this in remembrance of me," he is telling his first priests, his first bishops, to celebrate Mass after Jesus has died, raised, and ascended into heaven. So all the apostles have just been told, you're now priests. You got to go out and do this. You got to celebrate the Mass everywhere you go. That's so the Mass we celebrate today is the Mass we had celebrated of the Last Supper on Holy Thursday. That's what's so important. That's what's so significant of Holy Thursday, is because this is Holy Week. Jesus is going to die on the cross. He's going to raise from the dead. And 40 days later, he's going to ascend into heaven. So Holy Week is the most important week of Jesus's life on earth. So as such, Jesus does those things that are most important. And what is most important for Jesus, one of the things that is most important for Jesus, is the institution of the Eucharist, Holy Communion, and the institution of the priesthood. And from that, the first Mass. So Holy Thursday, Jesus does the first Eucharist, Holy Communion. Jesus institutes the first priests. He makes his apostles all bishops so that they can go celebrate Mass and they can go ordain other people priests. And Jesus celebrates the first Mass. That's what happens on Holy Thursday. And that's what we get to celebrate this Thursday on Holy Thursday. I hope all of you are having a wonderful time despite the hardships. Please study hard and continue to do what you can to be wonderful children for your parents and teachers who are doing their utmost to help you and to train you and to educate you in the faith and in your life, and to just be a presence of God's love. Grow in God's love and be God's love for others. God bless second graders. Next time we will talk about Good Friday. Take care.